this is your communications director, Rena, and I'm here with Anne. Okay. And so we came to Politicon in Nashville in order to talk about corruption and make sure that that was part of the conversation. So, and one of the things that I really love about Politicon is that you can have that conversation with people because everybody's here, and it's oftentimes hard. We get into our own tribes, and and you don't have access to people across the spectrum. But here they're open, they're willing to talk, and we can all figure out where we meet. And where we meet is that we all agree that we don't like the corruption.
People are looking into what influences their campaigns and why they push for the types of policies they push for. And if there's a lot of corporate influence, it's very unlikely that these politicians are going to look out for the best interests for the average American, or of the average American.
We have different ways of going about it, but it is that core populist movement, and that's when we both say we're not happy with the establishment. It's because they do put their own interests, their own after-office interests, their own current office interests, the dollar signs, ahead of the American people, and that's a frustration on both sides. Maybe we can agree on that.
Basically, you have moneyed interests, and you have populists on the left and populists on the right who are basically ascendant at the moment, because what we all know is that at the end of the day, the corrupt elite and the establishment have screwed us all. And so you're either going to go right and take it down or go left and take it down, but it's coming down, that's for sure.
And keeping that, one of the things that I noticed too is that when you don't, we all have political views, we all care about something, but when you don't come from that perspective and you just come from the perspective of what bothers you about this, people are always willing to open up and share with you, and it's amazing how much you do have in common.
My name is Maya Gilbertson. I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I'm a registered Republican, but I like to call myself conservatarian. I'm a conservative libertarian. I believe in individual freedom, economic growth, small government. As far as corruption goes, I think each side is very corrupt. That's why we say drain the swamp. But I believe that we need people and organizations that are fighting to end corruption, to drain the swamp, and to ensure that America's voice is really being heard. That when we're voting, that our voice is being represented and being heard, and that corrupted politician, individuals, organizations aren't working their way into our system and dirtying it up.
So my name is Alejandro. I'm from Florida. I consider myself a progressive, and I feel like money in politics is not a good mix. I feel like it leads to corruption, and you can definitely see it now. I was not surprised to see the Princeton study that showed that we're kind of living in an oligarchy. And I think removing money from the political system can help alleviate that.
Hello, my name is Lady MAGA, as in Make America Great Again. I am from Salt Lake City, Utah, and I am a Republican, definitely a conservative. I am not a rhino, however. I am a staunch Trump-supporting Republican. Alright, so when it comes to American elections, it does bother me as a blue-collar American that only the rich and powerful actually get the opportunity to get out on those platforms and actually run for office. I wish there were a way that the average, everyday American could have access to those campaigns and have that opportunity, because I really feel like only the rich and powerful actually do get to run on both sides, Democrats and Republicans. So I don't know how they could do it, but it sure would be nice if your average Joe, who's super smart, who has a lot of great ideas for America, could actually get on a debate stage and participate on the same level as people like Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama or even Donald Trump. So the average man, the small man, I'd like to see them be able to access campaigns without being rich.
My name is Sean, I'm 35, from New Jersey. I fall on the left side of the spectrum. I'm extremely progressive. I'm a Bernie Sanders supporter. I don't believe in campaign finances at all, like that should come from big corporations. I think everything should be small dollar donations, because I can't trust a candidate who is taking big money to fight for me, because I don't have big money.
It has been a few things, the serendipity of the people that we've met and what people have said. We got a hint of somebody thinking that maybe they might feel similarly that we do at Wolfpack about corruption, and so Rena asked a question, and the guy came right out and said, we need a 28th Amendment, and it was so awesome to see other people here feeling the same way, and people who are in power, so that's a good thing.
Hi. So you mentioned, corruption, and we know that permeates, all aspects of government. And you just recently touched on the 28th Amendment and campaign finance reform. So I want to hear a little bit more about your thoughts on campaign finance reform and how we go about, fixing some of these, and what do you feel about the 20th Amendment and how we accomplish that?
Well, and by the way, in getting rid of Citizens United, which was decided on constitutional grounds by the court, which is why a constitutional amendment is needed, I would either do the 28th Amendment, the proposed 28th Amendment, which is the next one in line, which is ratification by 3/4 of the states, or there's another way to get a constitutional amendment under Article 5 of the Constitution. You call a constitutional convention, the risk is then it gets extended to other topics. But I've advocated that in the past to get term limits in there. I was national chair of U.S. term limits, and I think that's worth a constitutional convention as well, because then you don't have to go through Congress, and Congress itself is never going to vote for term limits. So either of those two routes, and in a word, it's to get the unlimited dark money out of politics.
You do really see, if you can listen, if you can be open, you do see where we meet and that we agree. No matter what language you use, whether it's, get money out, whether it's drain the swamp, the goal is the same, is that, we're all angry about the corruption.